Today, Matt and I are finishing up our starting pitching conversations by diving deep. We are going to give you some great starting pitchers that are going late that you can take advantage of on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne. You can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ahne. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And lastly, most importantly to Matt and I, and very important to you this time of year, join us on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience where you'll be getting text messaging alerts right to your phone. And guys, this time of year on Subtext, you're going to be getting our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, and busts, so much more. And if you are interested in joining us on Subtext, the link is in the bio wherever you're listening or watching, or available on any of our social media platforms. And you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, Matt, we've had so much fun talking about starting pitchers. And, if you're new around here, or if you're not and you just don't know, Matt, we kind of specialize in starting pitchers around here. We made you guys a lot of money last year with guys like Cole Reagans, Chris Sale. And here we're going deep. We're going deep in the pocket. We have some early ADP pulled up, and we try to stick with names that are going past starting pitcher 50 that we really like, and that you should be making sure you're drafting on all of your fantasy teams if ADP kind of stays where it is. Matt, where are we going first today, my brother?
And I just want to highlight on, the fact that we are the pitching gurus. There is a nickname floating around on X of calling me the pitcher whisperer. So,
yes, for sure.
It is a thing. We are that good with it. But we're going to get into it. We're actually going to talk about a guy that we were telling you to pick up towards the end of the season, and you're like your keeper leagues and things like that for this season. And that's Brandon Woodruff. He had shoulder surgery in 2023, didn't manage to play at all for 2024 season. They actually released him and then signed him back for another 2-year contract. I guess some renegotiating. They pretty much just signed him to kind of like, hey, go get healthy, but we also don't want to lose you, so we're going to pay you less, kind of type deal. And this is a prove it deal. This is his last shot, and then he'll hit free agency after this year. So ultimately, if you've been around for the last couple of years, you know that I like guys on contract years. They usually play through injury. They usually go balls out and try and capitalize on it. On top of that, Brandon Woodruff has never been bad. I don't think I remember a single bad season from Brandon Woodruff. And quite honestly, the last time he had a bad season was his rookie year in 2017. Okay. He has just been absolutely incredible. 2023 finished with a 2.28 ERA, a 3.05 in 2022, 2021, a 2.56 ERA. He's just been absolutely incredible. Crushes strikeouts. He's just one of those guys that I just have confidence in no matter where I draft him. Honestly, if he was healthy last year, he would have been a top 5 pitcher for me based off of everything. And this year, if he was healthy, he'd probably be in the top 12. So we haven't mentioned him because, it's a little bit weird. Like ADP has him super low, but I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about him or a little hesitant because you don't really know if he's actually going to start the season off healthy. But everything I read and see, he's projected to be there for opening of spring training. So with me, I have Brandon Woodruff now after Dom and I actually had to talk and he forced me to rank him. And
the crazy thing is he got him up higher than me now.
Yes, I have him at pitcher 39, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I do. And all I need to see, honestly, is him cruising through spring training and hearing that there's going to be no limitations. And he's probably going to be a top 25 pitcher. To have him as their 2 is going to be bonkers. To have him even as your 3 would be utterly insane, which just tells me, Matt, I don't have to really pick too many pitchers in the beginning of the draft. So it's all about basic team construction, but it gives you the freedom. Brandon Woodruff is going to be a locked and loaded player if he is healthy in 2025.
Yeah, Matt, I'm right there with you. I have him at SP 42 right now. Same concerns that let's just see where he's at come spring training. And, if he's ready for opening day, like I said, he easily moves inside top 30, 25 for sure. And the crazy thing is, if we're able to get him as an SP3, I'm going to love it. I just want to do this real quick. So Matt was talking about how he's never had a bad season, right? Let's literally break it down for people that might not be super familiar with Brandon Woodruff. He's pitched his whole career with the Milwaukee Brewers. So from 2018 to 2023, Brandon Woodruff has had 107 starts, 122 innings. Over that time, Woodruff has had a 2.98 ERA, 637 innings, 756 strikeouts over that time, a 3.12 FIP, which tells you that sub 2 ERA is not a joke. It's a real thing. He could literally sustain it, and a 102 WHIP. If that's not SP1 material, then I don't know what is. So getting a guy like Brandon Woodruff, as Matt said, even as your 2-3 is going to be really, really substantial. Right now, Brandon Woodruff early ADP has him coming off the board as the 64th starting pitcher at pick 196. If you're getting this guy at pick 200, you win. It's just literally very, very easy to dominate your league. A guy like Woodruff that late. Let's move on to somebody that I really, really like. Well, New York Yankees pitcher. Let's do Clarke Schmidt next, right? Clarke Schmidt he was on the road to his breakout season. We all knew it was possible. He's had the stuff his whole career, and really started to polish things, off and get everything together this past season. But he was limited to 16 starts due to injury. This year, he did over those 16 starts. Clarke Schmidt had a 2.85 ERA, 85 innings pitched, 93 strikeouts, a 3.58 FIP, and a 1.18 WHIP. I currently have Clarke Schmidt ranked as where did I move him to? Oh, Lord. I have him at 47. So he's currently coming off the board later than that, and that's another one I'm gonna have to do. Oh, pitcher 68. So I have him ranked almost almost 20 spots ahead of where he's going. He's another guy. I think people need to adjust and see where things are. The injury was a little bit scary last year, but he came back and finished off the season pitching pretty well for the Yankees. I think he's going to be a staple in that rotation, and I think with his repertoire, the stuff that he has, it performs really well. It's tough to pitch in Yankee Stadium. He's figured it out, with the coaching over there. He's taken all the steps you want to see in the right direction. His cutter sits at 92, which is really successful. The batters hit 256 against it last year. The sweeper, which is a secondary pitch, he goes 25% of the time. Batters hit 210 against it. The sinker is what he needs to work on. I don't think there's enough differentiation between this cutter and the sinker. I think that's where he needs to really figure it out, get that movement on the sinker working a little bit better, because batters hit 267 against it. He threw it 21% of the time. And I think that's the final step that's going to put Clarke Schmidt over the top. And I really think we could take him as maybe like an SP4, and you're going to walk away pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, I have him at what do I have him at 56.
Still above ADP, like it.
Yeah, my thing is I'd like to hear more that he's throwing the knuckle curve more and the sinker less, and kind of moving and kind of bringing more of the changeup.
Exactly.
If I start hearing that, I'll be really happy, because it's just one of those things where if it's not a successful pitch, let's dump it, and you can get hit up pretty easily at home. So let's just move on and kind of just go what works. And the knuckle curve has a lot of success. It was barely hit at a 143 batting average last year and put away guys 18.5% of the time, but was also thrown 3% less than the sinker. I say you swap that around, and he's going to be even more dangerous.
I love that.
Let's just see what he does with his pitch mix next year. But Clarke Schmidt, for me, I still don't feel great with him as a 4. He would have to be a 5 for me, just based off of that. I mean, you start looking at who's in the 4 category around there, and you got names like Taj Bradley, Sonny Gray, Spencer Arrighetti, who's also going to be on the show, Jeffrey Springs, Shane Baz, even Yu Darvish after the season last year. These are guys I'm all taking over him, and you have him up even higher at 46. And
yeah, I have him ahead of some of those guys you mentioned.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things where I look at Schmidt and I go, I can't do the full commit. He's the one that will probably have to beg me for the ring quite often for me to actually pull the trigger. But guys, coming up next, we're gonna continue this conversation for the last time, at least until from this year, which is crazy. It's only 3 weeks away. Where we're gonna kind of round out our pitchers at this ranking and kind of talk about it until the new year. But guys, with that being said, we'll be right back.
And folks, get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats and view live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And guys, once again, we're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As this offseason continues to unfold, you can rely on Matt and I for dynamic content. Guys, you're going to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, busts, and so much more. It's going to help you stay ahead of your league once you join the Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. And all right, brother, Matt, let's jump back in here. I wanted to talk about Clarke Schmidt a little bit, and I'm sure you've got somebody queued up here that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about Ronel Blanco. When you told me the ADP was in the 60s, I was very concerned. And
62 to be exact. Pick
yeah,
188.
Which I kind of think people are forgetting, what Ronel did last year and how successful he was. Maybe the second half wasn't as impressive, but this isn't like a hitter that has a late age breakout. This is a pitcher. And pitchers, I like as they get older, it's a chess match. And quite honestly, this is his third year in the bigs. So for him to have a first full season in the bigs and do what he did, I'm impressed. He finished with a 2.8 ERA, which obviously the fit finished at 4.15. Let's split the difference and call it a 3.5 ERA, right? Pitched 167 innings pitched, had 166 strikeouts, and had a 108 whip. That's a pretty darn good season, not for nothing. Then you look at all the underlining stuff, right? Fastball didn't get great movement, but his breaking ball and off-speed pitches look fantastic. Had an batting average of 226. Fastball velocity still sitting at 93.4 miles an hour, which is not slow at all. Almost right up there to be in the red. Pretty much like 1.6 miles faster. One thing I don't like is the average exit velocity, but also too, it's right on the cusp of being where if it was like 0.2 to 0.3 miles per hour slower, it would be red. He's getting guys to chase. He's creating whiffs. He's striking out guys. I'd love to see him walk guys just a little bit less and allow guys to barrel just a little bit less. But he's not giving up hard contact. Hard hits are only about 35.5% of the time. And if he can just create a little bit more ground balls, I feel he'd actually have an even better season. Maybe not in the ERA standpoint. There's going to be some negative regressions, but honestly, everything else just looks quite honestly really good. I mean, the four-seam fastball that he throws 38.3% of the time has a batting average of 232. His slider has a batting average of 1.8, and he throws that 30% of the time. And then his changeup, which is also super filthy, has a batting average of 188. And when he decides to throw his curveball at that 10% rip, it's being hit under 1. Okay, we need to reassess our opinion on Ronel Blanco. Forget the age and kind of just look at his season as a whole. And realize also, too, that that's his first MLB full season. And if he was about 4 years younger, we'd all be losing our mind. We'd be saying he's going to be the next Shane McClanahan. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, let's not discount his season. Let's just look at him and just say, hey, he finally earned a roster spot on a team that's had loaded pitchers for years and said, yo, I'm going to be here. So Ronel Blanco cannot be forgotten, and he's going at such a great price, and yet I have him ranked at 39. So at 40 actually now. I'm sorry, I moved in Brandon Woodruff. But that is going to be a steal if you're getting him at 62. Do not forget about him coming in 2025. And as I see, Dom might be moving him up.
I have him at 50. I have Ronel Blanco at 50. And honestly, Matt, I'm gonna back you here. And let's do this. Let's talk about Ronel Blanco's final 5 starts. That includes one appearance he made out of the bullpen at the end of the season. But it was 29 innings pitched, 30 strikeouts, a 1.21 ERA. The FIP was a 3.34, but still, you'll take that even if he did perform to that. Batters hit 213 against Blanco. Once again, that's his last 6 appearances. He dominated down the stretch. So you know what? Even though he is older, like Matt says, sometimes that's to pitcher's advantages because he was able to, hold up to that workload. I think Blanco's going to be a staple in that rotation this year. I think we're going to be happy that we're drafting him. Once again, he falls in that SP4, SP5 range, and I think you're just going to be happy you drafted him. He's a guy when you're going into your draft, put that little check mark star next to him or whatever you prefer, sticky note, whatever you're doing these days. I don't know, Matt, what are the kids doing these days on the phones, the tablets, the iPads? What are we doing? Highlighting them? What are we putting stars next to them? I don't know. You know me. I was up until like 2-3 years ago. I was a paper and pen kind of guy, so it's all new to me. I don't know what are we tiering them? I don't know. Are we highlighting them in my rankings? I don't know. I'm old.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, man. You're making me feel old. And I'm a year older than you, but yet I still know the word, and it's called queue if you draft online, and you should know that.
Yeah,
too.
so there
Drop
you go.
them in the queue.
Throw them in the queue if you draft them. I'll tell you this. I do. Well, Matt and I, just to peek behind the curtain. Matt and I do a lot of our home league drafts in person and stuff like that. So it's it's not as easy as just throwing them in the queue sometimes. But yeah, love me some Ronel Blanco, but let's try and fit some more names into this episode. Let's do somebody that I actually have ranked right next to Ronel Blanco. Let's do Spencer Arrighetti. And this is a guy that he's different from Ronel Blanco in this way. You look at the numbers and you're like, Dom, what are you talking about? This guy wasn't good at all last year, because you look at Spencer Arrighetti's numbers, at 24 years old, he had a 4.53 ERA in 28 starts. But you look at 145 innings pitched, 171 strikeouts, and then the 1.4 whip. You're just like, what are we talking about here? The thing is, he's another guy like Ronel Blanco who finished the season really, really strong. And I'm going to give you guys the numbers here. So down the stretch, Arighetti pitched his last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starts. He had over that time, if my computer wants to work with me, but he had an 11 strikeout start. Okay, here we go. Once again, it was his last 7 appearances. He had a 2.36 ERA. Batters hit 233 against him over that time, was 34 innings, 37 strikeouts. The FIP was a little bit high at a 3.75, but Arighetti's young. He has really good stuff. You're not really having to pay much for him at all at SP 67. I have Arighetti right now at 49, the 49th starting pitcher for me. I really, really like him, and I just think he's one of those guys that you kind of forget how good he was down the stretch last year, and you don't really pay any mind to him. But you know what? He has the thing he needs to work on is his fastball. Sits at 94 miles an hour. Batters hit 303 against it, but that was the whole season. Like I said, at the end is where he really came on. The curveball is a strikeout machine. Batters hit 171 against it. He throws it 19% of the time. I think he should use that a little bit more. And then he has the cutter. He throws 19% of the time as well. That good results. And then even his sweeper, he throws 10% of the time. Batters hit 113 against that. So maybe he moves the fastball back a little bit and he leans on some of those other pitches a little bit more, which he very well might have done down the stretch while he got those better results. I like Arighetti. He's a very, very strong SP5, I think.
Yeah, I like Arighetti too. I have him ranked in the 50, in the 40s, a pitcher 46.
Oh, you have him above me. There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm an Arighetti guy. I mean, quite honestly, he just needs more movement. That's bottom line. More movement equals better results.
It's the fastball.
And quite honestly, though, he had brilliant starts. Like the end of the season was really great for him, just like you were saying. So you can't discount that. You just saw the improvement. You saw the adjustment to the bigs. And that's always key with these guys. Never look at just the total numbers. If a guy has a bad season, but you remember him being good, you need to go back and then go look at the month-by-month breakdown and be like, oh, he got better as the season went on. He also, too, which blow up a lot of his stats, when he first got called up, got sent back down because he couldn't handle the bigs. But then earned a rotation spot and figured it out. Arighetti, I think, made the adjustment, and we're about to see reap the benefits in 2025. But guys, coming up next, we get the rest of this show, and quite honestly, the next guy I'm going to roll out is Mr. Brandon Pfaadt. You're not going to want to miss where I say to draft him, so hang on. So like I promised, we're going to be talking about Mr. Brandon Pfaadt. I'm tired. You know, and I love the draft, the drop, you know what I'm saying? But I had to do it.
I love it.
So Brandon Pfaadt is somebody that I'm intrigued with next year. I don't have him ranked too astronomically high. Let me pull up where I have him right now. Pfaadt. I have him ranked 66, which I think is a fair ranking. You know, you look at what he did in his, you know, first true full season, and I'm impressed. It's not like it was like a horrendous season. You look at just like a couple things, like he pitched 181 innings, had 185 strikeouts. He had a ERA, unfortunately, of 4.71, but the FIP though was a 3.61. The WHIP was high, which you expect from a young pitcher like Pfaadt. And you look at like even his xERA was a 3.78, which is significantly better than what he posted. It's a whole run less. So let's kind of like give that a little bit of discount. And if he finished with a 3.78, I think everybody would be a lot more excited about this kid. So that's why we're highlighting him. He had his fastball sits at about 93.8 miles an hour, which isn't blazing fast, but also isn't ugly either. He's another one like Arighetti that just needs a little bit more movement on his pitches. His fastball sits pretty flat. His breaking balls also too, but there's just some underlying stuff. He doesn't really walk, like, even though his whip was high, he didn't walk a lot of guys in like craziness. Actually, if you look at his underlying stat, his walk percentage is only about 5.5%, which is actually on the elite side. He just needs to kind of just hone in on his pitching. And I think, you know, being up with the team and being able to develop with the names around him, like Gallen and such, he'll be able to kind of take advantage and pick their brain and see what's going on. I mean, you know, his fastball got hit about 265, which isn't atrocious, but isn't great either. His sweeper actually was pretty darn good. He had a batting average of 215, and sinker was about a 258. His changeup was a 250, and his split finger even got hit at a 200. He has, you know, 6 pitches as well. If he starts mixing it up, gets a little bit more movement on these pitches, he could be successful. He could be that diamond in the rough that we're picking late this year, and then boom, can be a top 30 pitcher by the end of the season. He has all the potential in the world. And you look at his minor league career, and you can't ignore everything that this kid has done. And I'll just give you a little insight before I hand this over to Dom. You know, before getting the call, you know, he has posted really nice ERA seasons. You know, 3.71 ERA in Reno in AAA. And then in 2022, he posted, you know, a 3.83 ERA, and then a 3.21 ERA. It's all a matter of, you know, what they're working on at the time, how they're taking their approach at the mound. I think Pfaadt is going to figure it out this season and be, honestly, finish as a top 40 pitcher would be my expectation. So he's going to overachieve on his draft price, and he's going to cost you literally nothing because he'll be your pitcher 6.
See, Matt, I think this is the first time we're going to disagree today. I've gotten to 71 pitchers ranked so far, starting pitchers, and I haven't put Pfaadt on the list yet. Or I almost said fart. I haven't put Pfaadt on. I haven't put him on. I'm tired. Exactly, and that's just how I feel when I'm looking at Brandon Pfaadt's stats. He got worse as the year went on. I mean, so here's the thing, right? I remember him being good for stints, and I was high on Brandon Pfaadt. As you mentioned, great minor league track record. I don't know if he still holds the record, but I know he had like the record for most minor league strikeouts in a minor league season from a starting pitcher, which is amazing. But
218 that one season.
He was better. He was better this season when he was striking out less guys. So if you look back at May, he had 5 starts, a 3.66 ERA, 32 innings, 25 strikeouts, a 103 whip. You know, was better when he wasn't striking guys out. And then in July, his only good month, 4 starts, 2.31 ERA, 23 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts, and 0.81 whip. That might be that might have to be the route that Brandon Pfaadt takes, and it's going to be hard coming from a guy who was used to striking everybody out in the minors. Then you get to the bigs and like, hey, that's not working for me. If you look at his last 2 months in August, it was 5 starts for Pfaadt, a 6.04 ERA, 28 innings, 30 strikeouts, a 1.44 whip. So he went back to striking guys out, didn't work. Did the same thing in September and October, got worse. 6 starts September, October for Pfaadt, a 7 ERA, 27 innings, 40 strikeouts, and a 1.63 whip. So tried to strike more guys out and was worse. He's just not somebody that I want to throw my dart that way at the end of the draft. ADP is actually kind of high on him right now. ADP has Brandon Pfaadt as pitcher 56 right now, pick 178, ahead of Brandon Woodruff, ahead of Ronel Blanco, ahead of Arighetti, ahead of Clarke Schmidt, ahead of every single guy we talked about on this episode so far. And I have every single one ranked significantly higher. Go ahead, Matt. You can jump back in. I'm sorry.
I agree with everything you said. The only thing we got to look at is track records with pitchers that have the pedigree and the skill side like he does, right? The high strikeout guys usually don't translate in the ERA categories or whip categories. They usually just try to strike everybody out until they rein themselves in. And
that's what I'm saying. And I don't know
right.
if he can do it. We got to see if he can. He did it in stints.
Well, stints, right? So now it's kind of okay. You kind of got to look at your season as a whole and sit down with the pitching coach. And I have a feeling they're going to take that approach. You know, he is in an organization that has developed great pitchers over the years.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
So you know they're already working on it. They already see his strengths. They already see that he has ability. And it's not like we're paying an astronomical price for this dude. He's a later round guy.
That's what I'm saying. At pitcher 56, though, it's just a lot when you could wait. You could wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pitchers and get Blanco. You could wait 6, 7 pitchers and get Woodruff. I'm just saying right now, if we were drafting today, right now, because that's what we're going off of. That's just what we're using. If you wait just a couple pitchers, you're getting gems that I think are way better than him.
Completely agree, but that's how we have it ranked too. Like you look at it, right? Like he's a pitcher.
That's why you got to go to subtext right now, and you're gonna get our rankings. In a couple of days.
Yeah, buy this pen. But all right, Dom, we spent enough time on the Pfaadt. Who's your next guy?
Let's do Ryan Pepio. Ryan Pepio is a fun name. I like Ryan Pepio a lot. I currently have Mr. Pepio ranked as my 45th starting pitcher. Early ADP has him at 52. He had a pretty solid year last year. I know he dealt with a couple of injuries as well. I honestly feel like there were certain points where he was trying to pitch through them, which actually I feel like limited him. So last year, Pepio for the Tampa Bay Rays made 26 starts, had a 3.60 ERA, 130 innings pitched, 142 strikeouts with a 1.15 whip. Was actually solid. Just literally a solid starting pitcher. You're getting over a K per 9. You're getting that mid-3s ERA. You're getting a 1.15 whip, which is great. He's the kind of guy who I feel like is just always going to outperform his FIP. He's a guy that I wouldn't even take it into consideration with because he's pitched – I could literally just do this. He's pitched 208 innings in his career to the tune of a 3.28 ERA and a 4.26 FIP. So you see that, guys. And then even when you look at batting average, guys like that, when you look at X batting average, and this dude has just always overperform it no matter what. I think Pepio is going to be that kind of guy with his FIP. So I expect like a mid-3s ERA, over a K per 9. He's a career 1.12 whip guy, so I expect him to be right around that. Not expecting more from him. There is a chance that he takes another step because he's only going to be 27 years old this year. There is a chance, but I'm not drafting him with that expectation. Just another guy that I like around that SP4 range in a 12-man league. If you're taking him there, I think you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I have him ranked at 54. I'm right there with you, and I'm all about it. I actually forgot how good of a year he had because it was just so up and down, but we also got to factor into he went to one of the best pitching development organizations in the league. What they're going to do with him is probably make him even better than what he humanly possibly could have been with the Dodgers, who also do a great job. But he was already at an A with the organization, then went to an A+ in terms of development. So I think Pepio is in for a good season. Plus, it's a way better field to pitch in. So he's going to have that protection in half his starts. So it's just going to be even better, and I think the results are going to be so much fun. Pepio's another one that, again, we're not drafting him again ahead of Pfaadt, but Pepio is probably somebody that I think is going to rise up draft boards as we get more and more excited closer to draft season. But guys, with that being said, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to make this show numero uno in fantasy baseball, because we got you every single year going into year 3 now. It's crazy. We're 3 years with the network, and 3 years of just giving you awesome advice. Don't miss out and share it with your friends, because the only way you know you're
Appreciate
good.
all of you.
Yes, and the only way you know you're good is if you're able to have the same information and still outplay your friends. So that's why you share the love. And when you're done sharing the love with us, then go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Puts on a great show and covers all the league. So with that being said, guys, peace out.
See ya.